In this video, I will discuss a major milestone that's been achieved to potentially get the United Nations a permanent office tasked with the preparation of periodic global conferences dedicated to the scientific study of UFOs. In September of 2021, Luis Elizondo visited San Marino to contribute to the creation of an international UFO disclosure coalition. Here is some footage from that visit where he meets up with Dutch journalist Max Motzkowitz.
You know, I think San Marino is a good place, good place as any. It's a small little area in the middle of Italy. It's been its own country for, since the medieval times. And there's a lot of interest here with some of our Italian counterparts. I think San Marino represents an opportunity where it's kind of like a Switzerland, where there is no real one country agenda. The one thing I think is important in this topic, look, I'm American, but this is not an American discussion. This is a global discussion.
Definitely.
Right? And you coming from the Netherlands and me from the United States, we have that in common, that this is a topic that involves everybody.
Yeah.
And so San Marino represents potentially a place where everybody can come together and have a discussion about this topic, free of any type of national agenda.
Max Motzkowitz has the entire interaction of him and Luis Elizondo on his channel, and I will link to that in the description below. But the following is an article by Chris Sharp that was published 16 months after that footage I just showed you, in which Elizondo went to San Marino in an effort to put together a coalition for UFO disclosure. The title of the article that was published on January 19th from Liberation Times is Project Titan approved by San Marino. UFOs set to be discussed at United Nations for first time since 1978. And from the article. Today, the Parliament of San Marino voted in favor to participate in Project Titan, meaning San Marino will submit a proposal to the UN for the creation of a permanent office tasked with the preparation of periodic global conferences dedicated to the scientific study of UFOs, otherwise known as Unidentified Aerial Anomalous Phenomena, UAP. In total, 25 members voted in favor of the project, whilst 2 abstained and 2 voted against. The proposal will now be submitted to the UN Secretary General before undergoing a preliminary examination and discussion. Following this, the proposal would be submitted to a vote at the General Assembly. If successfully passed, the United Nations would run the new office, which organizes periodic conferences hosted by San Marino, becoming the Geneva of global UAP studies. The conferences would be accessible to private and state-backed researchers and organizations. Also known as Project Titan, the proposal was created and managed by Paolo Gazzardi on behalf of the Centro Ufologico Nazionale of Italy, CUN, Italy's main ufological organization, and the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research, ICER. Speaking to Liberation Times about Project Titan's approval by San Marino, Gazzardi commented, "Today, the nation of San Marino has made a momentous decision, meaning the UFO phenomenon will now be discussed where it belongs, at the United Nations, the highest council of humanity." Quote, "This project is hugely important in today's world when nations are observing transmedium objects in their skies and seas. Against the backdrop of conflict like in Ukraine, it is this topic which can promote positive cooperation so that we can help solve an enigma which we all face. This one topic can unite our planet and counter our tendency for conflict." Greeting the news, former ATIP director Lou Elizondo told Liberation Times, quote, "By now it should be evident that the UAP phenomenon is not only an issue for the U.S. Today, I would like to congratulate the people of San Marino for another historic milestone in this discussion. It should be no surprise that the world's longest-standing republic is now championing the UAP cause on behalf of the world. I would also like to thank my dear friend Paolo Gazzardi and his colleagues for their tireless efforts. We have been working this issue diligently for several years and consider this a big win for all of humanity. 2023 is already turning out to be a monumental year for this topic, and I am proud to have been an integral part of Project Titan from its inception." Luis Elizondo gave some commentary to this article on Twitter that was authored by Christopher Sharp. 3 years of hard work finally pay off. Thank you to those that supported us. Major thanks to Paolo, Roberto, and Vladimiro, our friends in Italy, for which this would not have been possible without them. Also, a huge thank you to San Marino.
If If you were to ask me what's the one thing I want to achieve out of this conversation, I want to be back here every year having this conversation with people like you. That's what I want to do.
So what will that conversation look like that takes place on a yearly basis on behalf of the United Nations? Well, I think the following would be a component of what that conversation would encompass.
Is it possible there's something called extraterrestrial life? Well, I think statistically there's a probably really good chance yes, but we have to think even beyond that, because we're looking at this question from current paradigms, and I'm not sure we can.
No.
Our current paradigm is if it's not from here, it must be from up there. Okay, but maybe there's other alternatives too. What if life developed on this planet just as naturally as you and I did, but it developed from a completely different tree, right? And what we are seeing is just as natural as you and me. We're just now at the point where technologically we can interact with it. It's always been here,
Right.
possibly.
Right.
What if it's from under the oceans? What if it's from outer space? What if, there's a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
And so we have to be very careful not to be tempted to prematurely jump that to that conclusion, say, oh, if it's not here, it's extraterrestrial. Okay, well, that's one option. Could be, but there's also other options.
In early January on the podcast Theories of Everything with Kurt Jaimungal, journalist George Knapp stated the following regarding where this is all headed potentially. And he stated, and now maybe in the years to come, AARO, NASA, various scientific organizations that are now openly interested in the topic can address the bigger questions, the really important ones. Where are they from? Why are they here? Who are they? What's their interest in us? Once we get beyond the obvious question that our society has struggled with for 75 years, then we can start digging into the good stuff. And the obvious question there is, I think what Knapp is relaying is, are we alone in the universe? Are we being engaged? Once we solidify the answer to that question, beyond what we've already achieved, because we haven't begun the smoking gun evidence yet, there hasn't been a formal acknowledgement by the U.S. government where there is no wiggle room yet. But once that occurs, or we get scientific evidence from an organization like AARO or NASA that proves that we are being engaged by non-human intelligence, then we can start asking those really interesting questions. And that, I think, will help unite the world, because collectively we will feel a deep obligation to ascertain where is this other intelligence or intelligences stemming from, and all the other questions that go along with that inquiry.
I don't think you can have true freedom without truth. They are inseparable. You can't have a free society and have a free society without the truth.
Yeah.
As we say in my career field, the truth shall set you free. It is imperative. The two go hand in hand. And if you don't provide the truth to the people, then you will never have a free society.
I agree with that. That is something that I've said myself many times. I have stated something to the effect that without truth, our free will is compromised. Because if it is true, and I recognize I could be wrong, but 5 years in, the trajectory is pointing in this direction, and let's see where it ends up. But if it is true that we are being engaged by non-human intelligence, and that the United States government, as well as other governments, have attained high-fidelity data proving that on a scientific level, then there is an evolution that we would go through collectively and individually that we're not going through because we're being withheld the truth. And so we're not being given the freedom to blossom and expand and evolve the way we otherwise would had we been given the truth long ago. So we're on borrowed time, if you will, because this truth embargo has been going on for too darn long of a time, and it's now the time to stop the nonsense and tell the people the truth about their very nature of their reality.
These are moments in time where humanity is forced to grow, and either it's like a crab molting its skin. Either you grow out of your shell, or you stay trapped in the one you're in.
Yes.
And If you stay trapped, you choose to stay trapped the one you're in, you're never going to grow. You're going to remain that size forever. So we have a choice, and that is to break out of the shell that we're in and grow as a species in our understanding, or stay in the shell we're in.
With the rates of deforestation and animals and insects going extinct and greenhouse gases increasing on our planet and the threat of nuclear annihilation ever present, and all of this culture war that's going on and the antagonism we have as a species and all of these negative things that are happening, I would argue that the time has never been better to break out of the shell that we've been put in. And UFO disclosure, in my opinion, has the potential to give us the ultimate cosmic pattern interrupt that helps us to reevaluate where we've been and where we're headed as a species.
I think it's time we have the conversation as a species, wherever that conversation takes us.
Right.
I don't know where it's going to lead. I really don't. You have this great big master plan? No, I don't.
No.
You know, I don't know how to tell you. Surprise. I mean, I don't know where this path leads. I just know that the path there leads to nowhere. It's a brick wall.
Right.
Because we are now faced with the fact that there are things that aren't ours. We don't know how they work. We don't know where they're from. We don't know who's behind the wheel. We don't know their intentions, whatever it is, right? We don't know where it's from. So at least let's ask the question, because by us not asking the question doesn't change the calculus at all.
A link to Max Moskowitz's video that's 35 minutes in length, where he talks to Elizondo on these topics and issues, can be found in the description below. It's a very historical video and worth checking out. A very compelling article dropped in thehill.com yesterday, written by Merrick von Rennenkampf, titled 10 Reasons to Take UFOs Seriously. And it got praise on Twitter by both Luis Elizondo and Chris Mellon. Luis Elizondo stated, "Could not agree anymore. Great work as always, Merrick." Chris Mellon stated, "This article provides a solid overview of the UAP issue, as well as a trove of official information and the embedded links." Honestly, it's quite the impressive article, extremely concise, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Out of the 10 reasons Merrick lays out to take UAP seriously within the body of that article, I'll share with you but one as an excerpt from the article. Merrick writes, Number 9, UFOs are a fiercely bipartisan issue. The UFO phenomenon has accomplished a remarkable feat. Amid bitter political, social, and cultural divisions, UFOs have united members of Congress and government officials from across the political spectrum, to include loyal Trump appointees and the ex-president's fiercest critics. Moreover, 3 former presidential candidates, Senators Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat New York, Marco Rubio, Republican Florida, and Lindsey Graham, Republican South Carolina, have sponsored or co-sponsored historic unprecedented UFO legislation. To me, that's a sign that this issue, this is a microcosm of potentially a macrocosm, where this issue has the potential to bring humanity together in a way that benefits our species. So why continue covering this up? Let's break out of our shells and see where the path leads collectively. Now it's time for some dessert. Here is a announcement from Leslie Kean that happened quite recently. She wrote, "Announcement on the UFO series. It will not be on CNN due to the merger, which led to the unexpected shutdown of CNN Films and CNN Originals. We are lucky that the series found a new home with National Geographic, Hulu, Vice, and Disney+. Initially, it will air on February 13th, episode 1 and 2, February 20th, episode 2 and 3, and February 27th, episode 5 on National Geographic, and be streamed on Hulu each week on the next day. The full series will be on Hulu by February 28th. We are excited about the new energy being put into the series, which will get a second airing by Vice later in the year." That's my update for today. There's a lot more information that I want to share with you all, but we'll have to wait for future episodes, right? I don't want to make 45, 50-minute videos. There's so much happening right now. We'll just keep pumping them out. Like I'm particularly fertile, if you will. And And I will see you very soon, but please do not forget to subscribe. It's really important to me that you subscribe if you enjoy this content. I will keep you informed on the disclosure process with the passion of heaven. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You can become a patron. You can become a YouTube member. You can give me a one-time donation. All those potentialities are in the description below, or you can just slap a like on this bad boy and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. If you're still watching, the question that emerges is, why are my eyes closed? Nobody knows. But in the description below, if you don't mind, in the comment box below, if you don't mind, put the word blink so that I know you got to this point. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.